The report on the left-hand side of your packet shares a number of facts that I'm going to run through fairly briefly today. The first is that the largest section of Oregon's economy has jobs that require more than a high school diploma but less than a 4-year degree. We call these middle skilled jobs, although many of them are highly technical, many of them are very highly skilled. Middle skill only refers to the level of education that we're talking about for these jobs, and it was just a way to capture this middle chunk. We like to think of them as that middle 40 in the governor's 40-40-20 plan, more than a high school diploma but not necessarily requiring a 4-year degree. Many of these jobs are extremely well paid, many are unionized, and many, because they're in our communities and hands-on, are hard to outsource. Your electricians, your auto mechanics, your firefighters, your respiratory technicians, all of those that you can't just ship overseas. And this segment of our labor market counts for 900,000 jobs in Oregon. Second fact. Oregon is projected to have over 340,000 openings in this category between 2006 and 2016. This is on page 7 of your report, by the way, so there's lots of data there for you to go back to when you have more time. That's about twice as many job openings as you have in the non-skilled category, and more than twice as many as you have in that high-skilled category, the 4-year degree and above. These jobs are in every sector of our economy, from healthcare to manufacturing to the skilled trades to finance to transportation. In fact, page 9 of our report provides a sample listing along with the projected earnings for the next 10 years. And the fact is the median wages for many of these jobs exceed the Oregon median of $31,000 a year or so. Fact, Oregon does not have enough workers trained to this level to meet current demand. In 2004, 52% of Oregon's jobs required more than a high school diploma, less than a 4-year degree, yet only 47% of workers were trained to that level. In 2007, only 46% of workers were trained to that level. And so what you're starting to see is this decline, especially that's about to be exacerbated, especially as highly skilled workers continue to retire, unless we train up for the future. Fact. The skills needed in the emerging green economy closely mirror the middle skill demands in today's market. According to some of our research, most green jobs are middle skill jobs. 66% of employment in energy efficiency, 71% in wind technology, 56% in the biofuels, all require more than a high school diploma but less than a 4-year degree. Yet most of our focus and investments are around those young people who have just graduated from high school, those people under the age of 25 who have just graduated. That's where we tend to put our emphasis and focus. 2/3 of the workforce of 2020 is already in the workforce. And so solely focusing on either the high or the low end of this spectrum doesn't get us where we need to be. Fact, between 1997 and 2005, American workers on the whole saw only an increase in wages of 5% when adjusted for inflation. Yet, at the same time, many of the jobs in this category saw much more significant wage increases. And as you've heard in so many who've testified before you before, even as the demand for highly skilled technical folks remains high, it's becoming more and more difficult to fill because of the lack of programming available. So I'm sure most of this data is not a total surprise. I know you all are good consumers of data. You're among the few who've taken the time to really try to understand this system in great detail. A lot of the data that we've used for our report, same sources that you all have looked at from the Oregon Employment Department and others. I think what's a little different is the way that we've framed it up to try to tell this story about this chunk of our economy. And really the question is what to do with the information that we're presenting to you today. Our answer is fairly simple. We believe that there's a tendency to focus on the 30% of jobs that require a 4-year degree or more, and or the 20% that require no skills beyond a high school education. We agree it's important to assure that every Oregonian completes high school, but a high school completion alone is no longer sufficient to compete for the majority of jobs in our labor market. And it's unfair to expect high schools to be able to meet the demands of all the industries and the diverse jobs that we have out there today. We also believe that it's important to promote the completion of 4-year degrees as part of Oregon's economic development strategy. However, single-mindedly focusing on that leaves this 50% of our job market behind. And so what we're asking you to do is to also focus on that middle 52% of jobs in Oregon, jobs that are going unfilled because we do not have a sufficiently trained workforce to fill them. This is why we were excited about the governor's 40-40-20 plan, because it's unusual to see that middle 40 that he talks about there in plans, because people tend to focus at the top and the bottom. So what's the best way to assure that these jobs in the middle are filled? It's guaranteed access to the equivalent of a 2-year education or training past high school, leading to a career or technical credential, industry certification, or the first 2 years of college, to be pursued at whatever point or pace makes sense to individuals based on their life situations and the needs of the industries that they're training in. We realize that's a lofty goal, but Oregon's known for visionary leadership. We realize this is not a one-session goal or a two-session goal. This is a long-term goal. But in every session, there are opportunities to lay pieces in place that can help with this. You as legislators have so many tools at your disposal that can help the state move towards this goal. You have the ability to affect policy and funding related to training and education, financial aid, systems capacity, improved assessment and remediation, social supports for adults while in training, mechanisms to help those who are collecting unemployment insurance access more training while they're unemployed, mechanisms to support private and public partnerships. And I know you've seen many suggestions and proposals come before you along those lines. We only ask of you that as you look at all of these proposals, as you consider all of the options before you, you keep in mind the 52% of jobs that require more than a high school diploma but less than a 4-year degree, and that you keep working towards this goal of a skills guarantee, because in today's economy, we just know that high school completion alone is not sufficient. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Vice Chair Huffman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Agnes, I've got some questions. I don't know if you'll have answers, but just
I'll try.
My mind was reeling as you were talking. To fill the, I like the term Skills 40, but anyway, we can use middle skills since everybody's kind of latched onto that. Middle just sounds so mediocre. Yeah. Middle, Skills 40.
And we're not necessarily wedded to that has to be the end-all, be-all term.
Okay. To fill the 51%, is there any way of knowing how many of those jobs will be filled by the 17 to 24 age group and how many would be filled by the 25-34 age group? Because we've heard from career colleges this week, and they said that so many of their students are actually the 25 to 34 age group.
I don't have that data at my fingertip. The end-all, be-all term.
Okay. To fill the 51%, is there any way of knowing how many?
At my fingertips, I know that it's either available or a close approximation to it is available, and we could get back to you with some of that. What we do know is 2/3 of our labor market is currently in the labor market, and we do know that the age at community colleges has gone up. So we do know that more and more we are seeing those returning workers or people who possibly completed high school, didn't have a plan, spent a few years couch surfing, roaming around, trying different jobs, whatever that mix looks like, and then come back once they get a little bit more serious. Clearly, we'd like to capture those folks sooner. We just want to make sure we also don't lose this investment in adults who are really ready and focused and know where they want to head to.
So probably a good mix of the two.
Sure.
But targeting those two groups, there are probably, in that 17 to 34, probably 3 to 4 identifiable groups from a marketing standpoint that you would have to get them in different ways. My second question was, in the percentage of employees that do skill up, do we have any idea how many of those are of entrepreneurial spirit that actually go on to become employers, that are the job creators in another segment?
We can get you some more information on that as well. Again, I don't have that data on at my fingertips, though we did look at it as we were talking about this report. And Oregon ranks extremely high in that entrepreneurial category on a number of different studies. So it is a critical piece for Oregon, but it's not data I have right at my fingertips at the moment.
Well, I'm excited that those two questions actually have been looked at. So.
I'm very excited too, and I share Vice Chair Huffman. I share your sense that we've got to come up with a better name, because I'm not. I don't think is adequately describing the set of skills that so many of these jobs actually require. So.
Yes.
So, but again, we're honored that you're introducing your study here today. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.